My street name was 𝗥𝗜𝗣𝗦𝗧𝗂𝘁 from 62nd Street neighborhood, East Coast gang. Created East Coast Crips in the early 80s.
The biggest gangs in LA, East Coast Crips. Your initiation, was it a prolonged process to really test you?
I have to go through an initiation because I'm one of the originals. We created the initiation process. So the founder of the Crips, Raymond Washington, suggested that we come together and become one neighborhood.
You were inside prison, fasting with the Muslims, didn't really want to accept Islam in the prison.
No, possession of a firearm, drug, possession for sale. I never been convicted of one of them crimes that would send me away for 20, 30 years. A lot of my counterparts, some of them still in prison from the 80s.
When I think about Crips, Bloods, that are impression, once you're in, the only way you can get out is through death.
I transitioned from gang to Islam. I today have association with people that used to be my ops. We had people get gunned down on these corners. This house right here used to be a known house. They forced the family to move because of the gang activity that was going on in this yard.
Carjacking, missing people.
Nah, that didn't happen right around the next block. And we used to, up initiations was jumping off that.
Used to go down that for the East Coast Crips initiation.
Get up.
مفتوح للاجتهادات التقريب هذا حد العالم هذا طالب هذا راسخ والى اخره.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. To all 𝗪𝗥𝗣𝗦𝗧𝗂𝘁 disciples, YouTubers and viewers, welcome back to a new video on 𝗪𝗥𝗣 HD. Alhamdulillah, we are in LA and we're here with my brother
Mujahid.
And this is a very, very important interview. And why I say that is because obviously you'll see later on in the interview, but we're trying to attack the youth. And I don't mean in a bad way, I mean in a good way. We're trying to shine some light on how it is to be an ex-gang member and actually accept the folds of Islam. So Mujahid, can you kind of give us a brief history on like who you were before Islam, your name and what you was repping and things like that?
My name is 𝗪𝗥𝗣𝗦𝗧𝗂𝘁, and I grew up on the east side, as you know, what's known as East Coast Crip area. My street name was 𝗥𝗜𝗣𝗦𝗧𝗂𝘁, and I was from 62nd Street neighborhood, East Coast gang. I started banging in the early 70s, and we created East Coast Crips in the early 80s. It grew to be one of the biggest gangs in LA.
One of the biggest gangs in LA, East Coast Crip.
I was a very active participant in the growing of the gang. I took it to other neighborhoods and brought in other neighborhoods on the east side into this East Coast Crip thing, and so that was kind of my history from there. And then just growing up, going to prison and doing some other things. I had like a 20-year span of addiction. At the same time, I was still gang banging. And I came home in 2003 and accepted Islam a year later, and I've been Muslim ever since. Some things happen, where like this is my neighborhood where we are. So I work in this store.
And you consider this to be East Side?
This is it's East Side, but we known as East Coasters. But this is the East Side of South Central.
Okay, the East Side of South Central. So when I mention this neighborhood, how would I mention it? Like for somebody to know we here.
This is the Six Deuce neighborhood.
Oh,
East
Six Deuce, East Coasters.
East Coasters, right.
Okay, and if this is permissible, in your in the whole gang thing. Like your initiation, was it a prolonged process? They had to really test you, or was it a one-day, 1 hour thing?
Actually, I didn't have to go through an initiation because I'm one of the originals.
Founders.
I'm one of the originals. Where we created the initiation process for people coming behind us. You know what I mean? To test them. To see what they was about. Because we out here in this life, in this gang life, and you have to be able to fight, to stand up for yourself, because what's the point of you being from a gang if you're gonna run when trouble comes? You know what I mean? You leave your boy standing there by himself, and you done broke wide on him. So you had to weed them kind of weak people out.
Yeah, had to weed them out. Yeah. So basically, you were one of the leaders of East Coast Street.
I was one of the founders. Yeah.
MashaAllah, and Allah bless you.
So we had a big meeting, at Bethune Junior High School, and it was three main neighborhoods well, sets as we call them. It was 6 Deuce, 6'8", and 6'9". Right? We were all East Side Crips, but we were different cliques, but we all went to school together, and we associated with each other. So the founder of the Crips, Raymond Washington, you know what I'm saying, suggested that we come together and become one neighborhood. So we met, and that's when we created East Coast Crips.
And then it became one of the largest,
one of the biggest gangs here in the city.
Wow, subhanallah. And question, so once, you had mentioned to me before off camera that you were inside prison, right?
Yes.
And you was interested in Islam, you was fasting with the Muslims, but you didn't really want to accept Islam in the prison.
No, I wasn't willing. First, I wasn't ready, and secondly, I wasn't willing to accept Islam in prison because a lot of the brothers, were running to Islam for protection. You know what I'm saying? For that, because the Muslims are well respected in prison. But and then I didn't know enough. You know what I mean? So just getting tidbits here and there. Brother took me under his arm and tried to teach me.
How old were you at that time?
I was in my mid-20s at the time.
Mid-20s.
Yeah. When I first went to prison, I was I was about 21.
And what was your bid? How much time?
It was 3 years.
3 years.
Unfortunately for me, I never got a large bid because
so you was in and out.
I don't have no strikes. You know what I mean? So I was doing like possession of a firearm, different stuff like that. Drug, possession for sales and stuff like that. I never caught one of them crimes or been convicted of one of them crimes that would send me away for 20, 30 years. Like a lot of my counterparts that, some of them still in prison from the 80s.
Wow, subhanAllah. And this is a question. When I think about Crips, when I think about Bloods, I'm usually under the impression is once you're in, the only way you can get out is through death.
That's not true. It's not true because, like I say, I transitioned from gang to Islam. I today have association with people that used to be my ops. I'm talking about, that they become Muslim.
𝗪𝗏𝗧𝗜𝗏𝗏.
One of my young homies, they became Muslim. You know what I'm saying? And we're now on the 𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗏𝗧𝗏𝗏. You know what I'm saying? On the straight path. We're not out here trying to harm each other. We trying to, lift each other.
And when you say usually ops, was
like
it
the Bloods? And some Crip sets that we were beefing with. You know what I mean? So we embracing each other now. In the name of peace. First and foremost in the name of Islam, you know what I'm saying? We love for our brother what we want for ourselves, and where, if you're a Muslim, then I want peace for you as well as peace for myself. Yes. You know what I'm saying? We want to get over to that side where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is blessing us for the hereafter, you know what I'm saying, in the akhirah, you know what I'm saying?
Without a doubt. Let me just check, just to make sure.
So we just, so we embrace each other, and, we do what we do. You know what I'm saying? And in some cases, like I said, I work right here, and this is like the center point for the 6 Deuces. And so a lot of the youngsters come through here, and I find myself sometimes having to advise them on, their behavior and
how to move.
And then, like they come to me for advice, I don't advocate violence, but you can't tell a person not to defend themselves when,
without a doubt, when you
they
got
feel
ops.
threatened.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
And you in that type of situation.
So sometimes, you find yourself as a Muslim stepping over that line, you know what I mean? Trying to keep yourself in a peaceful manner, but you love your people. So you telling them how, hey, this is what I did to survive, you know what I'm saying? So if you feel like, certain things ain't to your liking, either you get out of it or you handle the business. You know
because it's no one foot in and one foot out.
You can't.
So after coming out, you say 2003, you accepted Islam in 2004. So in that year span, were you still like active, or you was like
Well, I was in my 40s, and I was kind of, like I say, gravitating away from it. You know what I'm saying?
And how were the heads and the younger?
Well, like I say, I had to respect. You know what I'm saying? And in the sense that I was, whatever my decision was with my life was my choice. You know what I mean? Though, I don't do anything to harm my people. You know what I'm saying? I rather, promote peace. Like today, I'm involved. I'm a I'm an interventionist, right? I'm intervention means we're out here trying to intervene in these beasts, in these crises where, you know,
because it's still going on.
Yeah, it's still on. Are killing each other. And we trying to be a part of the peacekeeping. Trying to, you know, I'm a part of ceasefire. You know what I'm saying? Which is the organization that's out here.
And you mentioned there's other Black Bloods and other.
Yeah, they're all involved in these organizations. They all, some of them have their own
that you had issues with back in the day.
Yeah, that I work hand in hand with to keep this peace.
Allah
to bring peace. You know what I'm saying? We done made peace with neighborhoods that we had death. I'm talking about where there was bodies on both sides. Multiple bodies on both sides. Today we can sit down and talk at the same table and break bread with each other now. You know what I mean?
Now, question: as a Muslim, right? Have you seen any issue with maybe a blood turning Muslim and a Crip turning Muslim, and then they see each other in the masjid and it's cool, but outside of the masjid it's still?
No, I've never encountered that.
Allahu Akbar. So as a Muslim and accepting Islam, even if you might still be a little active in the gangs, may Allah protect the brothers from that, you haven't seen Muslims harming Muslims?
No, I've never seen it. Not in the terms of gangs, you know what I'm saying, where, you know, op see another op or somewhere away from the masjid and try to get him. I've never witnessed any of that.
Allahu Akbar, because we have some issues in different areas. Talking about Maryland, D.C., where it's predominantly Muslim, so you're not having everybody on the same page.
No.
And you having ops, and they're getting at each other. So that's exactly what we want to stay away from. We're trying to get to the point.
Well, you know, if you embrace Islam, you embrace Islam wholeheartedly, you become a Muslim. You know what I'm saying? And that past life you're supposed to be stepping away from, and you have to, you know, immerse yourself in the Quran and the Sunnah. Right, because it's a guidance for you to guide you away from the darkness. You know what I'm saying? The killing each other and all, that's darkness. And you know, you want to be come out of the darkness so that you can be blessed.
Without
you know
a doubt.
what I'm saying? So, you know, you know, and also, you know, shedding the blood of a Muslim is totally haram. So, you know what I'm saying? That's unacceptable. You know what I'm saying? The Muslim blood is sacred to another Muslim.
Without a doubt.
You know what I'm saying? So you can't kill another Muslim and still say you Muslim. You know what I mean?
And
unless the man that is extreme.
You know, and we do have some issues.
Yeah.
So some situations where the Prophet ﷺ said another Muslim's blood becomes halal, right? We're not getting into that. So now the question is, what was your turning point? Was it actually prison, or was it a little bit of prison and some of the outside?
Well, it was a combination of things. Like I said, I was an addict up until the last time I went to prison.
And what kind of drugs it took him out?
Well, I was
doing everything.
Well, at one point in my life, I didn't use everything. Sherm, angel dust.
Oh yeah,
you know
that's heavy drugs. Yeah.
You know,
and
then the last like from '84 to 2003. I was, you know, with the crack rock, the rock cocaine and you know, and alcohol.
Because that's when that time hit.
Well, yeah, I came home from prison in '84, and the drugs was here in the neighborhood. So that was the time it came and hit the neighborhoods hard. So I indulged for, you know, from '84 to 2003.
And Allah bless you.
You know what I'm saying? Allah blessed me, and you know, I look at the survival that I've overcome. You know, that a lot of people that I grew up with are dead now.
Yeah,
you know,
they
the
done.
majority of them
70s.
only have. There's about 4 or 5 of us that were originally from the original, you know, troop that's still here.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
And we have this issue where I think the violence is heavy. Muslim on Muslim combat is the Muslims are saying that the younger generations are not respecting the older generations. Do y'all have that issue here?
Well, in some sense, it's there, but not to the point where they killing off killing off the OGs like that. You know, you have. I mean, in any organization or group, you're gonna have opposition. You know what I'm saying? And especially when, first of all, you have to respect them as well as get the respect.
Give respect.
You know what I'm saying? If you carrying yourself disrespectfully, how you gonna command respect? You know what I'm saying? So it's how you treat people. You get treated back, you know what I'm saying? But the thing with me was, you know, I don't talk down to the youngsters, I don't talk at them, I talk to them, you know what I mean? I don't use my status to belittle them or make them feel uncomfortable in the fact that I'm a threat to them, you know what I'm saying? That's when they really get out of line is when they feel like you posing a threat to them. You know what I'm saying? So when you talking to them in a manner that's disrespectful, then you should expect, you know what I'm saying, clap back.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Alhamdulillah. Okay, and like in this particular area, how, like, what is the, like, no, I can't say the mileage, but how big is it? Like, you used to stomp through this whole
area from Slauson to Fremont High School, which is down like 77th in San Pedro. From the freeway all the way across to like Compton Avenue, well, I tell you, Holmes Avenue, you know, it's a railroad track.
This is and this is another question. So now, after transitioning, have you had any issues because of your past? Like,
no, I haven't.
Allah
I really haven't.
Akbar.
I mean, I haven't had any issues with anybody.
like, yo, you did something to my pops. Yo, you did something.
No, I haven't faced any of that. You know what I'm saying? I attribute that to Allah.
Allah,
You know
and you grew up here, you gangbang here, you used here, you
drugs
led a
right
whole East Coast mob here,
Exactly. Yeah, you know that. You know.
and you didn't leave.
No.
No
I mean,
fear.
you know, went to prison and came back. I came right back here on San Pedro.
Allahu Akbar.
I live in another area, but I come back here. I work right here, like I said. You know, 3 nights a week I work here. So you know, this is my community. This is where I grew from a boy into a man. You know what I'm saying? This is where, you know what I'm saying, this concrete right here, man. I done bled on it. You know what I'm saying? I done cried on it. I done enjoyed on it. You know, I done lost family members on it. You know what I mean? You know, so. You know, this is home to me, you know?
Yeah, and if you could advise the youth, you know, that's maybe banging, that's straddling the fence as a Muslim and a gangbanger, or a Muslim and a dope dealer, you know, what would your advice be to get them totally to that next side?
My advice would be to adhere to the Quran and the Sunnah, to immerse yourself in the teachings of true Islam. You know what I'm saying? Get the right guidance so that you can preserve yourself and not preserve, but you know, as we say, you can't preserve a spot in Jannah, but you can work towards Jannah by doing the righteous deeds. You know, staying away from the haram. You know what I'm saying? You know, you can't make haram halal. You know what I'm saying? Your money is not, it's cursed. When you're making money off drugs, it's cursed. You know what I mean? When you're out here robbing people, you taking from people, it's cursed because you're getting it in a haram manner. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, you're destroying your soul by continue this criminal behavior. You know what I mean? So you have to step away from that and, you know, spend time with the Muslims, because reminders aid the believers, and the Muslims are the reminders. You know what I'm saying? If you're around like-minded people that are following Islam, you're going to follow along. You know what I'm saying? It's like we say, you know what I'm saying, you own a palm with your opinions on it. If you're hanging out with street people, that's what you're going to be. That's what you're going to do.
Without a
you know
doubt.
what I mean? So, you know, you got to put yourself around people that are following the Quran and the Sunnah and following Islam to its core. You know, learn the basics, learn your deen, so that you will know what you can and can't do, the prohibitions, you know what I'm saying, and the concessions.
Without a doubt. Yeah, so guys, we're going to wrap it up. You got anything else?
Yeah, alhamdulillah, rabbil alameen, you know.
Alhamdulillah, rabbil
man.
alameen. Yeah, we wanted to kind of take y'all through the neighborhood to see maybe some spots where you frequent that, or this happened here, or yeah, I remember I had a fight here and this didn't work.
Well, you know, this whole block used to be like, I'm talking about from this end to the other end, with nothing but gang members on both sides of the street. You know what I'm saying? We, you know, locked down, doing our thing. You know, during the 80s, you know what I'm saying, you had rock sales going all the way down the block. You know what I'm saying? You had down in the middle of the block, they got a walkway. It's called Ascot Walk. That's where it was initiation zone.
Is it far?
No, it's not far. It's halfway down the block. We used to be down here, and this is where a lot of youngsters got put on the neighborhood. You know, yeah. This store been here for years. It's new owners now, but you know what I'm saying. You got a what you want to call that? If somebody passed away, it's like
funeral home.
Yeah, you know, where we just, you know, did a candlelight visual. You know, to show our love for our loved one, fallen loved one. He died from natural causes, but we done had people get gunned down on these corners. People died, people done died in front of these houses. This was a known hangout. This house right here used to be a known house. They forced the family to move, to sell the property and move because of the gang activity that was going on in this yard. And so they had to relocate, you know what I'm saying, by force. And so, you know, a lot of this down this street, you know, was, you know,
all gangland.
Like I said, gangland, you know.
And how was it back then? Could like a regular innocent person wear red?
Well, no, not really, because he knew where he was, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it depends on who they were. Some people, you know,
could get away with it
because of who they were kin to, or they grew up here and, you know, like I said, there was some, like, you know, Fremont had like a burgundy type uniform, their sportsman stuff. So, you know, but you couldn't come down.
Yeah, you could let him get in front.
Yeah, you couldn't come down here rolling through here,
wow,
you know what I'm saying, flamed up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, that's what they call it.
Yeah, flamed up. You know what I mean? So, you know, you would get checked. You know, you can get away with it once or twice, but then it's like, oh, you just trying to diss us now, you know? So,
yeah.
Yeah, so, you know.
And how was it? Was it a lot of like flags? Y'all used to wear a lot of
blue rags all over the place, you know.
And how was the police reaction when they used?
Well, you know, what they, you know, usually they would come through and you know, the brothers were scattered, you know, because, you know, those that's holding pistols and stuff would break wide. They would jump out their car. Those that didn't have no reason to run would stand there to, you know what I'm saying, to kind of take the flak.
Yeah,
so the brothers, so the ones that's trying to get away can get on with what they was having. So, you know, so we right here. This
so this is it right here.
Few more houses down.
Oh, those lemons. So this is the passage?
Yeah, it's right here.
Oh, it's coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so alhamdulillah, it seems like, so what about like carjackings, innocent people, like? Oh.
Nah, that didn't happen right around here. Like I said, me, myself, I was one of those advocates that, you know, this is our community. So we want to respect it. You know what I'm saying? My neighbors didn't have to fear me.
So usually the people that were getting killed, who were they? The oppositions coming to the area, or sometimes it was inter?
You know, it was mostly
inner beef.
Yeah, mostly ops coming through. You know what I'm saying? Shooting people down. So this is the walkway. It used to go all the way through to that block, and we come all the way through here, all the way to the next block. And we just up in here.
Look like this thing we call danger chamber in New
said we should
York.
court people in, you know what I'm saying? People, this is where the initiations was jumping off at, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, so we should, like I said, control this whole area.
Yeah, so guys, as you can see, we out here in LA.
You see some of the, like this is.
Yeah, 62.
Some of the, they done painted over a lot of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so this is where it used to go down at for the East Coast Crips initiation.
Get up in here.
And alhamdulillah, the brother accepted Islam and he quit 2004. So there is no issue and no reason why you as a person think you can't stop, you can't change. It is definitely doable. 62.
6 Deuce East Coast Crips.
6 Deuce East Coast Crips. So yeah, I heard it here first, man. The brother gave you the best advice as possible. Follow the Quran and the Sunnah with the understanding of the Sahaba. If you are a Muslim, there should be no reason you should be in the streets. There is a way out. There's always a way out. So we thank you, Brother Mujahid, for joining us. And alhamdulillah, the Muslims are safe in LA. Stay tuned, y'all. Stay ripped, six-pack, big back, big facts.
Indeed, in the body, literal translation, is a lump of flesh, a piece of meat. إِذَا صَلَحَتْ صَلَحَ الْجَسَدُ كُلُّهُ. And when that lump of flesh